Hey!
Hey, how's it going? Long time no see.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I know I've missed you.
I missed you too.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait, random question. I have this mic because these don't have mics at all or like whatever. Do you
That
think
is adorable.
it's
That is
my
like the
sister's? I'm
tiniest.
not even gonna lie.
What, like, I've never seen a mic like that before.
It's adorable and like it works like a regular
Like
microphone.
it's an actual microphone. What the heck?
Yeah. So like I don't know, does this sound really good? I'm wondering if I should take it off or what. I don't know.
No, no, no. You sound perfect.
Okay, great. I
So how's
mean,
it
I
going?
almost always sound perfect, but
Uh-huh.
no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm joking.
Well, we're already recording,
um,
so
oh
everyone's gonna know how
shoot.
perfect.
Everyone's gonna know how truly arrogant I am. Mhm.
So what's new?
Yeah, but nothing really. Same old, same old. Same old, same old. Just
Mhm.
work. Um, that's
Why do
pretty
you have
much
a
it.
UK email, by the way? Your Hotmail is
Oh,
a UK email.
so here's the thing. When I was making my email,
Hmm.
um, I just clicked the wrong button and I was like, there's no point in going, like I could have clicked back,
Okay.
you know? I clicked on UK instead of .com. And I could have clicked back, but I was like, man, that's an extra step. So I just continued.
Hmm.
And so every time I give it to someone, oh my goodness, were you like working there? Like, did you visit there? And I've never been to the UK.
Hmm.
So it's
I know. I
it's
was like,
kind of just a ridiculous story.
yeah. I'm like, oh wait, did she work in the UK? Like, I didn't think so. I thought you worked. I'm like, I swear you worked
Oh
somewhere
no, I
else.
lost you.
Are we freezing?
Wow, I come back to you dancing.
Hmm.
That's a treat.
Yeah, it didn't happen much in university.
It didn't. You should have danced for us more, quite
Hmm.
frankly.
Yeah, no. Where was there to dance in university? Oh no, you're frozen.
Everywhere. What do you mean? You're Eric. You could have jumped up on a table and done a whole dance, and everyone just would have been like, meh, it's Eric.
Hmm. Am I frozen on your screen?
No, I see you now.
Nope, but you're
Am
frozen on
I
mine.
frozen?
Yeah, but it's fine.
Dang.
As long as your face is just there in a very concerned look. So we'll just have that for there we go.
There we Oh gosh. All right. Well,
Hmm.
we'll hope for the best.
It's fine. We'll just we'll cut it up in post.
Okay.
We'll
I'm gonna
make you look
trust
good.
you.
Hmm.
I'm gonna trust you to make me not look like a fool.
Yeah. We'll do it better than we did it with Christine.
Because Christine doesn't need it. Because she's Barbie. Like she's flawless. What do you mean?
Well, hopefully she watches this episode.
Oh no, she can't hear me saying nice things about her. That's gonna ruin our
Mm-hmm.
whole dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So, how's life treating you here back in, I guess, wait, you're back in Ajax, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well now I honestly was driving to work a couple of days ago and I was like, oh man, last year at this time I was and then I stopped because it's been 2 years since I've been home now.
Yep.
Um, the time has passed by so quickly, especially with COVID and all the shenanigans that has been happening in the world. Um, I genuinely don't know where the time has flown.
Hmm.
But it's nice to be back with like family. It's nice to be in my own bed. It's nice to be yelling at my siblings to leave me alone.
Hmm.
Just a
Yeah.
nice.
No, I know exactly. It's like, unless you're planning on actually living somewhere permanently, it never truly feels like your bed, your place, anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, and like we'll get into the details of the whole
Hmm.
exchange later, but it's definitely nice to be home and to be surrounded with like familiarity,
Mm-hmm.
just family, friends, like knowing that weird neighbor down the street, or I have no weird neighbors, but like, just kind of knowing people, knowing places, feeling very comfortable, confident in your own element.
There are other people in Ajax other than yourself? So far away from everyone.
There's actually a whole 5 other people. It's crazy. Yeah, one person moved in about a week ago. We're
Mm,
blowing up here. We don't know where to put them. There's like no
yeah.
space
Okay.
with all the cows and farmland.
Yes, yes. And then Christine's like somewhere over there too.
Yeah, yeah, she's not too far from us, but Pickering is closer to Toronto.
Yeah, they're too bougie. I get it.
Yeah, they're too good for us, they think, at
Hmm.
least. So we don't. I'm talking so much shit. And like, this is sorry. Am I not allowed to
How
swear?
dare you? You can swear. It doesn't really
Okay,
matter.
just checking. Um, and like, someone's gonna watch this and be like, "I live in Ajax, and it's nothing like." I'm joking, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's like people like I live in Vaughan. I'm like literally 2 steps away from Toronto.
yeah.
Like literally uh, within 200-meter walking distance, cross Steeles, and then you're basically in Toronto. And people are
Oh,
like,
geez.
Vaughan? That's so far. Like, are you
I
serious?
know.
Like,
I re-
unless you're downtown, you're not in Toronto. Which I like. Yeah, I get that too. Like, if you're not downtown, you're not really in Toronto.
I remember in first year, people were like, "Oh my gosh, you live in Ajax? Like, how do you commute here like every day?" And we went to UTSC. We're at Scarborough campus. Like
Yeah,
Scarborough was not far.
it was further for
Um,
me than for you.
yeah,
It used
and
to take
like
me an hour and a half on the bus and train, like in the morning, to get to U of T Scarborough, and then even car, it was like 45 minutes.
on the bus, it was 30 minutes for me. And like I would tell people like, no, 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 it takes me 30 minutes when I'm taking public transit to get here. And they're like, I live in
Hmm.
Scarborough and it takes me longer than that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
people really think we live in like the boonies, like nowhere.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. I miss going to U of T. I miss that life. Work life is not as fun as
I
just.
don't know if I miss
I miss the
that
idea of it.
life. I miss the idea. I miss you guys. That's what I miss. Like
Hmm.
if I were to have to go back and be with other people that I didn't get along with and that I didn't like, um, and I just didn't have solid connections, like I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to be there. But we were really lucky. Like we had an amazing cohort and people got along fantastically.
Yeah, well, our cohort was so small. Me and Christine, we talked about that. We had like what
Yeah, I watched.
30, 40 people in
Mm-hmm.
our like if that. I don't even know. Our like French classes were by fourth year I had like 10 people in my French classes.
Was that the one with Riando or
Yeah, and
the
yeah, it was like
yeah.
9 people. I remember like sitting three or like 12 or however many it was.
Yeah, like I think that's a nice thing about Scarborough versus like downtown campus.
Hmm.
It's so much more intimate.
Hmm.
Um, and especially being in the French program, like who takes French? What?
Yeah.
Um, our first year classes were like 20 people. Like
Yeah, yeah. And that
that's
was it was
unheard
awesome,
of.
but you couldn't get away with anything either in the classroom.
Well, because you would never stop. I swear, I remember all the time, like every single French class that we had together. It was you and Monica
Yeah,
chatting, and like every single
Gary
class,
English
Jerry,
yelling.
Annie.
Yeah. That's why I have no problem with kids talking now in my class because I'm like, yeah, I deserve it. Talk all you want. Like,
I was that student.
yeah, I
I
was that
know.
student, so I understand. Like, I don't care if students talk in my class.
Oh man. I mean, there's a place at a time. I don't. What bothers me is when they talk like when I'm explaining things, and then they're like, "Wait, so what do I have to do?" And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. When I'm giving instructions, that's not the time to talk. But when you're doing your work, like as long as my whole thing is as long as you're doing your work and you can actually do your work
"Yeah,
properly. Like it's not like you're
yeah."
talking and you're writing like gobbledygook all across your page. Like I have students who do that, and obviously those students I'm a little bit more on top of it, like, hey, you
Mm-hmm.
can't speak until you've finished your work because you're not gonna like your work is gonna be completely incoherent.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are certain kids who can multitask, and there are certain
Mhm.
kids who are building up to that, especially because you're teaching what, grade two?
Yeah, I teach grade two, so they're still
So
young. They've missed
young.
6 months of school because like
Mm-hmm.
the previous year, half of it's a write off. Like,
Oh my goodness. Well, there was the strikes, and then
yeah,
there was COVID, and then
yeah, and now they're
what
back.
happened?
Yeah.
And now they're back.
Hmm. No, and they have like we're building up to it. You could tell that there's definitely a gap in
Oh yeah.
comparison to, and like I just had parent teacher interview conferences, and I told them, like, listen, they're not like if your child's not there yet, it's because they have 6 months to catch up on, basically. And ever like I don't have anyone in my class who I'm like, oh, this is really concerning. Like, no, they're getting there. They're building up to it.
Yeah, especially because it is grade two. Grade one is when you build that foundation. You have kids by the end of the year speaking in French, understanding, like being very confident. And then by grade two, you can do a lot more with them. But because they were still at the beginning of learning their second or third, for some of them,
Hmm.
maybe even fourth language, they didn't get to that point. And then to have
Yeah.
such a massive gap, it it's hard. And I know so many parents are concerned, but like everyone is in the same boat. Everyone is behind.
Hmm.
And it's no one's fault. There is a literal pandemic. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I told my parents. I'm like, like they'll get there eventually.
mm-hmm.
Even kids bounce back quickly. It's like as an
Oh
adult, if you
yeah.
told me to like when I was in China, I learned like 4 words, and like it was like painstakingly hard to memorize them. And I
Mm-hmm.
know English, French, and Russian poorly, all three of them poorly, but I know them.
He
But
says
like,
so like confidently
yeah.
on the internet when he teaches French.
Like I could
Sorry.
definitely I'm definitely putting in the time and effort, especially in French because I'm teaching French now. I'm definitely
Mm-hmm.
putting in more time and effort into learning, like relearning my French properly again. Because
Mm-hmm.
even in university, like our last year, uh, I didn't speak a lick of French. That's the problem I found with with OISE. They were
Mm-hmm.
reluctant to put people in French, either core or immersion, whatever they were like for your practicums, because they were like, no, 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 it's the last year of this
Mm-hmm.
program, and if
Mm-hmm.
you fail, which apparently they've had a lot of issues with people failing when they jump into French, if you fail, and there's nothing we could do. So they're like, English or nothing.
That's so strange because I guess because you were in the PJ program,
Yeah.
so it was different. Whereas we were in IS, so we
Hmm.
had to do a practicum in each of our teachables. And we started with our minor, and then the second one was our major, or
Hmm.
well, for us, our
Yeah, our
specialist.
specialist. Hmm.
Um, and they had difficulties finding placements for us.
I'm
Like,
really, I'm
yeah,
surprised.
for all the French people, at least in our region area, because I
Uh,
wanted to do my second practicum in the public board because I did my first one in the Catholic board,
mhm,
just to see the difference and like be able to properly compare and contrast where I wanted to apply, where I wanted to work.
mhm.
Um, but they couldn't get me one in the public board, and in the Catholic board, they can only get me one in an elementary school. So because I think she had two classes of seven and one, no, two classes of eight and one class of seven. That's 50% of the day was in intermediate. They
Mhm.
could put me in there. Um, but they were struggling for sure to find a proper
Yeah,
practicum for us.
and I kind of like I understand more in your area because it's like I know right beside me there's like I can think of like two or three schools that would definitely have core or French immersion. I don't know how many schools are around in your area that have French immersion or you know.
There's quite a few actually. There's actually in Ajax, like I know most boards have like French immersion school and all the students are in French immersion.
Mhm.
In my board, we have schools that are 50-50. So you have
Yeah, that's where I
about
went.
50,
Yeah,
yeah.
my high school is 50-50.
And so, but in Ajax, we have one school that is completely French immersion. There's only French
Mhm.
immersion students there from K through 8.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just it was difficulty finding someone who was willing to take someone on,
Yeah,
because of
I
the
could see that too.
workload, I
Yeah,
guess.
it is a, like, for people who, if anyone watches this in the future, because we have like, I don't know, 3 or 4 people watching this at a time usually. If anyone watches this in the future and wants to take on someone as a like as a
Student
practicum
teacher, yeah.
student, yeah, like it's more work than just teaching it yourself, because you have to be on top of the class and you have to be on top of your student teacher.
Yeah.
If they're good, then it's easier, but it's always a gamble. Like you never know who you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get someone who's capable right away. You don't know if you're going to get someone who has no clue what they're doing. You don't know if you're going to get someone who's just like middle of the road.
Um, I did have a friend. I have a friend. She didn't die. I do have a friend who had jeez, I'm killing her off. I
Yeah.
have a friend who had a student teacher, and she was telling me that this person was not doing well, like they were falling behind, like the class that she allowed this person, I don't want to give too much description about this person in case they
Okay.
watch. Um,
One day.
hopefully. Like the class that she allowed this person to teach, they were further behind than all the other classes, and it was just not a good situation. So you really are gambling a lot of your time, and effort and energy, and like
Mm-hmm.
you have to feel confident in yourself and confident enough in that person,
And in your
to
classroom
come in.
too, because like I wouldn't uh I wouldn't like put a classroom that's maybe a little bit struggling.
Mhm.
I wouldn't put a student teacher in there,
No.
because you gotta be on that classroom first prior to teaching someone. Like you gotta pick a classroom that's
Mhm.
either at like most of the students are meeting curriculum expectations or above and beyond. Because obviously
Mhm.
it's like there's going to be kids who are struggling in one area or another, but you want the vast majority to be like good behavior, good meeting
Yeah.
curriculum,
But
to to make it a good experience for everyone.
then on the other side, you could also say like this is not every situation, but if you handle here, you will be successful. Like you'll be good. Like
That's true.
throw them into the fire, let them deal with it for a bit, and then they figure out for sure like, oh, okay, I can handle myself. Like I
Mm-hmm.
got this. Um, but then again, you as the classroom teacher, need to be very confident and very reassured in your own capabilities to make sure that your students are caught up when they leave, to make sure that your students are not losing out on anything. um, I don't know, it is a juggling act, and I don't want to discourage people from taking on student teachers because we need people to take on student teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do understand the
Reluctance.
yeah, the reluctance and the disadvantages of it.
Mm-hmm. But then I from both my practicum teachers, I did learn a lot. Like especially especially from her first one, I learned like a lot of places, like the resource. Like from her, I learned that the resources are out there. They're not always easy to find, but they are out there, and you just
Yeah.
got to dig and dig and dig. Like I remember
Mm-hmm.
she pulled up some like huge box that she got as an order, and I'm like, what is it? And she's like, oh, it's this like free resource from the Ontario government. It's not available anymore. I've checked; they've discontinued the program. But it was like on the human body and
Mm-hmm.
bones, and it was called like the Bone Project or something. And it was like this insane like 6-week program with all these like cool things. They sent you like a code for
So
the classroom.
cool.
You make your own comic book and you follow along and you do all these cool. And I'm like, it's free. Like this would be like hundreds of dollars on TPT or
On
something like that.
TPT? Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, if you ever need any resources for like elementary school, I have a ton.
Please, I'm in elementary school this year.
Are you? What grade?
Well, I'm doing core. So I'm doing core
Oh,
7 and 8.
course of it. If you have any, I guess if you have any like lower ability students, maybe the grade two would be the grade two stuff would be nice for them.
To be honest, with the gap, due to COVID, with all the strikes, from what I understand, there was a lot of turbulence with the French teacher, at the school prior to me. So
Okay.
there was inconsistency, not turbulence, like there was just inconsistency. There was a lot of people in and out due to various
Gotcha.
reasons.
Gotcha. I thought
Um,
you meant like one teacher was.
no, no.
Mhm.
And so the students didn't get a lot. So there are a lot of gaps and there is a lot of academic diversity
Mhm.
in my group. And so, well, my groups, I have 6 classes in my groups.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so honestly, anything that's like interesting, I can always like adapt it, modify it, do whatever I need
I'll
to.
send you my Google
But
Drive. You could take a look at it.
please,
I have like 8 gigabytes worth of resources on there from for French immersion stuff.
you're a safe. You know I love you, right? Like I love you.
That's how I get into the good graces of all the teachers. And like honestly, I think that's what's missing from teaching in general is just hey, we're all in the same cohort. We should not only share resources, but we can plan together. Like that was a big thing that in the
Yeah.
UK for your prep time, every single teacher in your cohort would be on prep at the same time, and you'd all plan together. And so you
And
get one time a week. It was prep was only once a week for the
mm,
last 2 periods. It was like 2.5-ish hours.
okay.
We got all of our planning done for the week, every week, all of it,
And
and all
like
the resources and everything.
work smart, not hard. Like if you're dividing and conquering everything, like if you have all the grade, like 3 teachers coming together and they're like, okay, where are you at? This is what we should be covering. This is the like what we need to do for the curriculum. Here's some resources that I have. Oh, I have this. And like maybe
Mm-hmm.
some people focus on science, some people focus on math, some people focus on language. You're done. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing.
Like especially we have how many people we had at one point. I think it was 4 or 5, and then because of the I don't know if it worked the same way in Ajax, but in York Region they had like the survey after October, where
Mm-hmm.
parents could take a survey, and if they wanted to take their kids out or put them in again, they could do that. So we lost a grade 2-3 split. But having 4 or 5 teachers, that could be like you can get like 2 weeks worth of planning, 3 weeks worth of planning done in like your last 2 hours or
Yeah.
whatever. Like it's a big thing to have that many people working on just you're laser focused on science, you're laser focused on math, you're laser focused on French. So it was just awesome. Like we had I got really lucky with the people in the UK because they were more experienced than I was, because one of them she was from the US. She'd been working and teaching for many years, and she worked in essentially the gifted program in her school in the US. So
Okay.
she was our math lead for the entire school too. So she would
Oh.
always plan math, and her math lessons would be just A+, like the best math lessons. And it was very, very well differentiated. There was a lot of like pre-activities and
Oh,
post-activities it was
like
just
the
insane.
whole like 3-part lesson,
Yeah. She went
super
above
high
and beyond every time.
engagement.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Gotta
So
love
like,
those
it was
people.
beautiful. And like because planning didn't change, like the curriculum didn't really change much between a few of the years. All they
Hmm.
had to do was take the plans from the previous year, put them in now, and then just adapt whatever they need to. So we were getting like a month's worth of planning done with 3 people every week.
That's
We were like a month ahead.
amazing.
Yeah, I was never worried about planning.
You know what? That's one of the things, like not talking about working with people, but just being experienced and seasoned. That's what I'm really excited for in
Yeah.
like 4 years when you've been doing the same job for a couple of years and you have all your resources and you just like pull out your binder and pull out the folder and you're like, all right, this is what we're doing. And I like tweak a couple of things and planning's done in like 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. Like I use do you
ice
know
cream.
Planbook?
Yeah,
I use that.
chalkboard.
No, I don't use chalk. I use Planbook. It's a different one. This one's like
Oh,
$15 a year, and like
oh, I'm
you
cheap.
could.
I got the free one.
Okay. Well, I like this one because it has your plans, and you
Yeah.
can split them up into units, and then for your plans, you can import all of the Ontario curriculum in there. So if you want to put like for every lesson, you could put the standards.
Yeah, same thing.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. I got to look at chalkboard then.
I think it's plain book chalkboard. I think it's like a similar type thing. It's really nice. And then when they come in and want to look at like your
Yeah, just give me,
programming or
oh,
your
like, here's my
planning,
login. There you go. Have fun.
yeah, here, it's all there. It's
Yeah.
good.
That's the one thing.
Yeah.
Like, have you done your NTIP evaluation? Is that a thing for you?
Yeah, so we were supposed to do two. I was supposed to do two last year. I finished one
Mm-hmm.
in December, and then my second one was scheduled for April, but clearly that never happened.
Nope.
Um, and so now I'm at a different school. I have a different principal, and she's going to be doing it, but the last principal needs to get a couple things organized, and they need to switch um, the principal name over in the system and do all this stuff. So like
So it
I'm
gets
just
it
kind of
gets pushed over. Like you don't have to do
yeah,
the first part again. Okay, good.
yeah, which is nice. Because I was nervous that they were going to make me do the first one again, but they said no, technically it's already done. And what happened last year was not your fault. It had nothing to do with you. So
Mm-hmm.
just stay on the ball, do what you can, get everything in order for your second eval, and then I should be done because I doubt that they're going to be doing the PD days anymore. Um,
Oh, like, oh, you know what?
yeah,
Agatha was just asking me about that. She goes, "Do you have any PD days coming up?" I'm like, "No, I had a PA day on Friday to finish my parent conferences, and
yeah.
it's only PA days from what I remember. Like they're all virtual, like all the PD days or whatever it is, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
really I don't think they're actually having any official ones. Not that I saw in York Region. You can sign up for
Yeah.
professional development, but that's just about it.
Everything that I'm seeing is after school and it's optional, but I don't, they like last year they had specific NTIP ones and we were pulled out of school and
I
there was a
have
supply
that.
come in and
Yeah.
we don't because we can't meet together, so anything would be virtual. And then they're like, well,
Hmm.
with the schedule we have that's different between elementary schools and high schools, and trying to organize all of that is I think like a pain. So everything is just after school virtual.
Hmm. Yeah, I saw those like so for NTIP, like they offered me like because as you go through in your first year, you have like your like the mentorship program or whatever it is, and like a bunch of other stuff. But in
Yeah.
my mind, I'm like, what like I didn't feel like I needed a mentor, even though from what I understand, it is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like my big issue is I know for a fact that they're struggling to find supply teachers. And if I have to, and the mentor, the mentor comes in like during class or they pull you out of class to work with your
Yeah.
mentor. So I'm like, if they can't find a supply, that means someone's going to have to give up their prep. And I really don't want to do that. And then on top of
Mm-hmm.
that, even if they do have a supply, it's like the more time you spend outside of class, like their kids are kids, like you're seeing one adult, they become the authority figure. You see a new
Mm-hmm.
adult, you're like, oh, who are you? Ah! And then they freak out.
Yeah.
So like supply work never goes as well. It's and it's hard to like if I want to do something very specific or like I can't give like students a math quiz or like a science test when a
Because
supply
you need
comes
to
in
be
because
there to
yeah.
support them. Yeah,
Hmm.
100%. It needs to be, for lack of a better word, it needs to be busy work or just paperwork, which is boring, just to
Yeah.
reinforce what they've been learning. But
Hmm.
I would rather reinforce what we've been learning with activities and like more engaging work. So I completely get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I hate to use that word busy work too, but it's like I can't, it's not that I can't trust the supply to do the things that I want to do with them, but it's like not you can't always get a French supply as well. So
Yeah,
how are
because
they
French people
like
are hired right away.
yeah, exactly. So how are they like if I make sure my lessons plans are written in English just in case there's French like there's not a French supply available
Mm-hmm.
and like there's I leave sticky notes on the work like these are the instructions in English of how to
Mm-hmm.
run everything
Yep.
because I had one of my colleagues had a supply teacher came in and they didn't speak French so instead of doing any work he just got them to color for 2 hours and she was livid at that. She was like, "You couldn't have figured anything else out? Like seriously? That's just a lazy person." But
Yeah.
at the same time, if you're like you come in there and you're expecting, you know, English instructions because you don't read French, and you're like, What do I do?
Yeah.
You
I don't.
gotta
Oh,
scramble.
well, you were saying, because I was listening to your last one with Christine, that a lot of the teachers in your school are francophones, right? Like French first language.
Some of them are. I wouldn't say a
Some of
lot
them
of.
are.
There's no one in my cohort is, but there are a few
Mm.
people that are francophone, and they're like official, like they're either from France or from um,
Quebec?
Quebec or somewhere else. I can't quite remember. There was one other place somewhere where they speak it in they're somewhere in Europe where it's like could they speak either maybe
Switzerland?
Switzerland. Yes, I think so. Something
Okay.
like that. I can't quite remember. Hmm.
Okay.
But like
Mm.
it's yeah, a lot of those teachers don't necessarily like it. The way they really want is like if it's they want like your cohort, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
covering your prep if you or like your absences, I guess, because it is easier
Um,
because the kids do know them too, and I
yeah,
get
that
that.
makes sense.
But I wouldn't want to
Okay.
like be absent and have someone miss their prep because I was absent because
Yeah.
it's your prep, like you need to work.
Mm-hmm.
When I miss my prep, I'm
100%.
like, "Ugh."
Yeah. It throws you off because there is so much to do, especially in your first few years of teaching. Um, Not just the marking, not just the planning, but like the finding those resources that you have to dig
Mm-hmm.
forever for. Um, there's always someone who's behind on something that you have to pull and get like caught up on. There's always something that's going on, and like to lose that time, that very, very precious time to get work done when you already have work to do when you get home anyways. Like you don't want to be working all day at work and then come home and work all night.
That's
Like,
my like big thing. The only thing I
mhm.
leave for myself at home to do is like laminating or cutting or so because I bought
Okay.
myself like a one of those guillotines. I bought myself a laminator. That's the
Oh,
only
you
thing I
got one of
allow
the
myself.
cutters?
Yeah, like the big one.
Oh, those are nice.
They are nice. It was like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. I think it was like $40 on Amazon.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
I bought a laminator last year from Walmart. It was on sale at the beginning of the school year and it
Yeah.
snatched
Amazon
it up.
Prime, like $15 or $20. And I mean, those sheets are expensive
Yeah.
and they run out like that, but you know.
Yeah. Especially in a primary class where laminating things just so that you can reuse them, even though reusing things is weird this year, but like
Yeah.
you need to laminate things just so like they'll last, they're durable. That durability so that they don't like
Well, yeah,
disintegrate
like
into
the
dust.
kid, like if I don't laminate something, my kids will destroy it, and it's not because they're
It's like they
bad
eat
kids or
it.
anything. It's just like
No, it's
they're
just because they're
kids.
young.
Yeah,
They're
they don't know.
kids.
Like, yeah, they'll like even with the laminated stuff, they're still like playing with it or folding it in their hands, and I'm like, could you not bend it? I spent time and money cutting
Please,
those.
please, please don't.
That's how I feel every time.
It
Oh.
like breaks your heart a little bit. Like I spent so
Hmm.
much time on that.
Yeah, and it's like I like it costs money to like if you're printing at school. I don't know how your school works. Like printing, they like they track your printing, so like
Yep.
it costs money to print, and it comes out of your budget. So there's like one specific printer
Oh.
that doesn't come out of your budget, but it's like a worse printer and the quality's not as good. And then at the same time, you
Mm.
can't send anything to that printer off of your computer, so you have to print a master copy on off of the regular printer, go over
Mhm.
there, and it's hard to do double-sided copies. So I just take the budget hit because it's just way easy. Like it's like if I'm planning something and then I have to
Mhm.
spend 15 minutes printing one thing, that's
Mhm.
a quarter of my prep time gone.
Yeah, 100%. And I just find it so interesting that because they track how much we print, and certain schools do, well, different schools do different things. Like I've seen schools say in high schools, like your department has so much paper,
Mm-hmm.
or they'll give a teacher like a pack a month, or they'll give them a box for the whole year, like a case of paper for the whole year, or the printer will automatically just shut off after a certain amount of pages.
Oh
But then,
god, that would be like anxiety inducing.
yeah, could you imagine like having to print off like just 5 more pages
Yeah,
and it's done? Um,
I'd cry.
but then my thing is like, if you are in a school that doesn't have access to tech, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, and even like not even out access to tech. It's like now how are you going to share tech? Even if you have, let's say,
Yeah.
iPads, it's every student needs an iPad. You can't just have like a
Mm-hmm.
group of kids playing on an iPad, because they can't even, like, technically you can in York region, they wash their hands first and they can share the iPad, but a lot of the kids want to, like, crowd around and watch what everyone else is doing,
Yeah,
and they can't do that. So what's the point of sharing it?
I know. And it's I don't know. I'm very fortunate to be at a school that like I wouldn't say they're lenient with their paper usage, but they're just understanding. Um,
Yes.
because a lot of things are done on paper, and that's just the way it is. And until we get a different system in place, like we need to be able to do our jobs.
Yeah, and not
And
even that. It's like you can't share anything for paper now. So things that you would make like one copy for a group, you have to make a copy for
yeah.
everyone now.
Hmm. Well, with us, if you don't have, like, we can't share textbooks. So if you have not a full class set of textbooks, what are you doing? If it's a workbook, you need to photocopy that or print it off for the kids.
Hmm.
If it's something that you're reading, like maybe you could take a picture of it and project it for the whole class. But like, what if you're reading multiple pages and some kids are faster than others? And it's just, what do you do? It's a strange reality that we're living in now with all of the COVID regulations. And I know it's all for the safety of the students and like,
Hmm.
and for our safety too, because that's important.
Yeah, that's
But
part of the reason why I don't bring work home, is because I don't want to, like, I got parents, I got grandparents, I got a sister, so
mhm,
I don't want to, like, I don't want to bring any of that home and then get it on something else, and they
of
touch it and then it
course.
goes, and and they get sick.
Yeah. Like it's not something you want to have to deal with. And then to carry that like guilt and shame. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Hmm.
I get that 100%.
That's why I don't like, some of the parents were asking, like, if I'm going to send homework home. I go, like, not really. Like, I don't want to, like, I want to make sure that you're safe as well. Like, I don't want, like, let's say for whatever reason
Mhm.
that like, I have it and I don't want to give it to you. Like, I don't want you to take
Mhm.
it home. And then on top of that, if you're going to bring it back to me, that means it's been at home with you. I don't know
Mhm.
who's over at your house. Uh, and then you bring it back to me. It's got to stay in a box for 3 days before it can be
Yeah.
even looked at. So it's just the process, it's not worth it. So, like, my homework is Lali Lo, which is like a French phonics and comprehension video game kind of thing that they can play online, and
Yeah.
Prodigy Math. And, like, do that for 15 minutes a day each. That's the
Mhm.
homework.
And that's fair and that makes sense. And to be honest, like usually what you would find, especially with the younger grades of French immersion, because you're trying to build up that competency and that confidence and get that language acquisition from different authentic sources. Buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. You're I'm interviewing right now.
Mm-hmm.
You would usually send home a book with them and
Yeah.
they would read that and that would be their homework. Like that's pretty much usually it. Um, but we can't even have class libraries this year, like
No.
because you
Yeah.
can't
The
touch
library is
the book.
closed to all the kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you do? So it's good that we have the tech options, but then also the question of like equity. What about people who don't have internet access? What about people who don't have tech at home? What about people who are
Yeah.
working from home and need the computer? It's
And they're trying to address that. I know, in, like, your like, they sent out a survey to all the families. It's like, hey, listen, if you don't have access to tech, please let
let
us
us
know. We'll
know.
provide you with so and so. And even, like, for my grandmother, she so she would go to, like, some, like, fitness center for
Mm-hmm.
seniors, and she would go do a workout. But now, because she can't, they actually, the I forget who, like, it's a it's essentially like a company that provides just like just anything for people who are essentially, it's for, like, it's like a Jewish relief fund
Okay.
for, like, post World War II. So the company came, provided her with a laptop
Mm-hmm.
and 2 years of free internet.
Nice.
So she has, like, a laptop, and we gave her our, we were actually planning on buying her internet
Mm-hmm.
for her birthday. That was her birthday gift, and we were setting it up, and then they were like, yeah, we'll give it to her for free, no problem. We're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll
Thanks.
buy her, like, we got her, like, a smart TV, so she could do, like, she can project her workouts onto
Mm-hmm.
the TV, and it's bigger, and she could do that there. So, there are companies, and you do have to find them, and it is a tedious process, because I helped her go through it, and it was like like head banging how slow it was. But like eventually she got it, and now she has internet for 2 years.
Yeah. And I like the fact that right now we do have the opportunity with COVID and all the closures to use tech to our advantage to stay in contact with people and feel less isolated. But then you think about people who have not become accustomed to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it took us months to teach my grandmother how to video chat, and now it's still like we see like up her nose whenever she talks to us, like,
Yeah.
"Hi, sweetie.
Oh, I
How
get a
are you?"
call every week. Like, I broke something. Can you come here and fix it? Yeah, no problem, Grandma.
Yeah, it's not like nothing's broken. It's just like you press the wrong button or
Yeah,
something
exactly.
froze, and you're just like, it's fine, it's okay.
Yeah. And there's that like it's not like they didn't grow up with it, so I get it. It's like same thing now,
Yeah.
like kids are way ahead of me in tech than I'll ever
Oh,
be.
easily.
Yeah. And it's like I'm the tech savvy one in my household, but like there's a 4-year-old out there, I'm sure, who can run circles around me in any form of technology.
Yeah, because in the world of tech, you're an old man.
I'm an old man now, just regularly.
Yeah.
I'll stand up and I'll be like, oh, lightheaded.
Oh
Gotta sit back down.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
hmm So, Jessica, I know.
Excuse me? Wow, it's like we're back in
Just fell out of my
university.
chair. I know. I do that with my kids too. It's like I have these two cousins in my class, and
Yeah.
I'll always mix up their names, and they don't even look alike. But I don't know why. And I do that
Yeah.
every year to two kids, always.
I
Just
have,
I'll screw up their names. I don't know why.
yep. I have two boys in two different classes. I can say their first name, right? Yeah, because it's not their last name.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And there's no information. I didn't say what school I work at.
Mhm.
So, one boy's name is Josh, and the other boy's name is Jason. Can I speak? Jason. And I call Josh Jason and Jason Josh all the time. They don't look alike. They are in different classes. Complete. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know why I do it either. It's just like as soon as it happens once, and then that's it. It's forever, and you feel horrible every time you do it.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the kids are like, "You're doing this on purpose, Mr. Lovach." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm just really, really bad at this."
I'm a human and I make mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you feel awful. Like,
Yeah.
no, I know who you are, I swear. But your name is just now forever, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Cool. So, Jess, do you want to tell the audience, or
Hi,
lack
audience.
thereof, where you worked abroad? Because I know, so Christine worked in Strasbourg,
Mhm.
and then you worked in somewhere totally different, complete opposite.
Yeah. So Christine and I actually did the same program. We both did TAPIF. We both applied for it together. But I really, really, really wanted to be in the Caribbean. One, because I'm a Caribbean woman. And two, because the island that I wanted, one of the two islands that I wanted to go to, were both very, very, very close to my mother's home island. So I had a lot of
Mhm.
family close by, and I wanted the opportunity to see them. So I actually ended up working in Martinique for 7 months. Yeah, for 7 months.
Nice. I thought, wait, so then I am mixing it up. You worked in Martinique, then where's what's your mother, like where's your mother originally from then?
Oh, my mother is originally from Dominica.
Dominique. So that's why I screwed up. I'm like, I remember there was like I remember it ended with an A, but I'm like, no, it can't be it can't be Martinica. That's not a
You were
thing.
putting them
I
together.
think so. That's why. Because I'm like, I
Uh,
swear I can't remember where it was exactly. But yeah,
yeah, so
that's awesome.
it was great because I worked in Martinique, and the way the school system is, they have school for about 6, 8 weeks at a time, and then they have like a break. There's
Oh,
always
so
like,
it's similar to that's how it works in the UK. It's
yeah.
every 6 weeks there's a 1 week holiday, and then
Hmm.
6 weeks after that there's a 2 week. So like it's like first week is like October, and then Christmas break, and then
Yes.
February, and then
Hmm.
April, and then blah blah blah.
Yeah. So for, I think, 2 or 3 of the breaks, I ended up just going over to Dominica because it's a 2-hour boat ride.
Oh, okay,
Um,
good.
yeah, and I got there and I spent time with family, and I went there. Yeah, I went there 3 times, and it was my first time going there in 10 years. So it was really nice to see people in person that I hadn't seen since I was a preteen, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so they were looking, oh, you grew up so much. And it's such a small place. Like, I remember walking through the streets and people stopping me, and they're like, oh, is so and so your mother? Is so and so your grandfather? Is so and so
Yeah,
your
yeah.
grandmother? How are they doing? How's this? How's that? And they're like, you're clearly not from here, but like, I know you. Like, you look familiar,
Yeah.
but you're not from here.
Hmm.
So I got stopped so much, and they were like, cousin, and I was like,
Yeah.
sure. Like, I literally had someone scream out a window, hey, you're Millie's granddaughter, right? I'm like, yeah. They're like, hey, cousin, welcome home.
Oh, that's sweet.
um so yeah, it was such a cool experience being able to go back home. Well, not my home, but like, back home.
Hey, home.
um a home. And also being able to be in a tropical island on a
Yeah.
tropical island when it was freezing cold in Canada and everyone was dealing with snow and slush and rain and all of that, and I
Yeah.
was lounging on a beach.
Very nice.
Yeah.
See, my dream is to like one day, I guess, live in the Caribbean, but it has to be a place with like A plus air conditioning because I sweat like a pig.
Ooh,
Like
yeah.
I have all of my windows open in front of me and I'm like warm right now.
um
And it's like right
it's
now,
it's your Russian blood coming through.
yeah,
You're like, this is
it
too hot for
honestly it
me. Like, what is
honestly is.
Canada?
Like I went outside today in just a like a thin sweater and sweatpants for like a walk for like an hour, and I'm like it's warm, and Agatha's like it's freezing. What are you talking about?
Ew.
Yeah.
No,
So
like,
I need heat, but I also need solid air conditioning.
and the thing is too, um because technically Martinique is part of France. Like, it's a French country, not a French
Yeah.
speaking country. Like, it's France
Hmm.
legally. There's a lot of Franco-European traditions that are happening on the island.
Mm.
So air conditioning is not like a big thing. So there's air conditioning in bedrooms, but like, people don't have air conditionings.
So yeah,
Like, units throughout the
I'm
whole
gonna have to
house.
politely. I'll go there to visit and to travel, but I can't see myself unless I could like build in the air conditioning because I
Hmm.
can't uh if it's not like 20 degrees in my room when I'm sleeping or less.
Yeah.
That I don't sleep with blankets even now. It's still hot, like it's too hot. I don't
I'm
care if the
like,
monsters get me at night. I'll stick my
come and
foot off
get
the side of
me.
the bed. Yeah. Like
I am
I'm
like,
just a hot like I run hot. I don't know why.
I, ooh,
Yeah.
I'm like opposite. I do not like the cold. I was like living my best life in the Caribbean. I was sweating because it was hot, and like, I would walk uphill to get to work. Um,
Mhm.
but I had a great time. Like, my skin was glowing. It was looking nice. Like, my body was like, this is where you belong. This is where you
Mhm.
were meant to be. I was just really comfortable, really great. Like, some days I would sit in front of a fan. If it was really hot, I would walk to the beach and stand in the ocean. Like,
Yep. Well, you can't
great.
like it gets that hot here in Canada too, but you can't
Yeah.
stand in the ocean. That's the problem.
No. That's the sucky part.
Mhm. You can't like just walk to a random body of water. A, it's usually
Yeah.
full. B, it's never as clean as you would like it to be. And C, it's usually pretty far away.
Yeah, all the, like, the nice spots of the Great Lakes that we get, the Great Lakes,
Mhm.
are
Well,
so far
that's why they're
away.
so far away. They're so great. They're so big. They're far away.
Yeah. Mm.
But yeah, so that's my like I have to find that perfect standard, like that perfect evenness of like it's hot outside, but only outside.
I mean, if you have the opportunity to live in the Caribbean, I would say go for it, do it. I really liked the fact that, like, it's very easy to travel between the islands.
Hmm.
So, at least where I was staying, from north to south, it's Guadeloupe, Dominica, where my mom's from, Martinique, where I was staying in St. Lucia, and I went to all four of those islands.
Oh, great.
Um,
Hmm.
and it was like easy to travel between them. Um, like
Are they all considered like, are they all French, Francophone speaking countries?
no, so technically, so um, Dominica and St. Lucia are Anglophone countries, but they
Hmm.
speak Creole French, just
Okay.
like Martinique and Guadeloupe, because all four of them were historically owned by, history lesson,
Hmm.
historically owned, oh, because you can, never mind. They were all colonized
Well,
by
so
France
yeah,
at one
yeah, they
point.
were colonized, or like, yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were all colonized by France at one point, and then
Mhm.
there was a lot of battle back and forth, whatever,
As
whatever.
there always
England
is.
came
Yeah.
in, as there always is. Everyone fighting over land that doesn't belong to them anyways.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and so to it ended up being French island, English island, French island, English island, but all four of
Interesting.
them continued to speak. Yeah, like it's a pattern. It's beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, all four of them continued to speak Creole French, so you can travel. Well, they can travel between the four of them and speak to one another like comfortably and confidently. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, that's
And
all. I don't know why I said but.
how different? So, because Christine was telling me about this, where in Strasbourg they speak a mixture, like a combination of a German and French mix because they're
Yeah.
right on the board. So, how different is Creole French from just regular either Quebec French or Northern Ontario or France French?
Oh,
Like,
okay.
would
So
you be able to, or would I be able to understand? And would they be able to understand us if we were speaking in French?
they would 100% be able to understand us. We um we would have difficulties. Like I
Yeah.
was trying to pick up things. Like certain things are very easy you can understand because they do have the French like lexicon basically.
Hmm.
Sorry, the French like word base
Yeah, yeah.
for the audience out there. Um they do have a lot of French words. But basically French Creole is like the English equivalent is like Jamaican patois. So
Hmm.
like you can understand the accent if they're speaking English, but once they go to speak in patois, like a lot of people cannot understand it. They cannot follow it.
Yeah.
Um, for various reasons, but it is like a whole different language technically. And so the same thing applies to French Creoles. Both are technically Creoles.
Hmm.
Um, when you're speaking about the French Creoles, there's a lot of things that you can understand, you can pick up because the words are similar, but like if you're not well versed in it, you're not able to follow along.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I remember like in university we had like a pigeons and Creole class with
Yeah.
I forget her name now.
McCrindle. I
McCrindle.
love
Yeah,
McCrindle.
and it's like it sounds like such a like a very bland course, but I absolutely loved like finding out where different languages come from. Like I remember just my research paper was just on English and
Mm-hmm.
like the history of where the English language came from, and there was like it was like fraught with battles and like one country like coming
Yeah.
in destroying everything and then like their language gets built up and then another country or coming or another group of people coming and it's just like it's insane how much it's based off of just like a violent history, just the creation of a language.
Oh yeah. Cause like I don't know. Yet again, I'm gonna swear again for all you those out there. Like people often call English like a bastard language because there is just so many historical influences coming in and just like taking charge. And so when we look at it now and we look at the grammatical structure of it, and that's why it makes no sense to a lot of people and it's
Yeah.
just kind of everywhere, it's because so many languages came in and added things, and then another dominant language came in and
Hmm.
added more things, and
But
there's a
it's
lot of
hilarious because
that.
it's becoming the dominant language of the world. It's
Yeah,
hilarious that out
yeah.
of all of that, like English is the one that's dominating. Like I would have honestly, I would have guessed something that has a much richer history. Like I would have guessed something like maybe French or maybe something
But it
Slavic or
was
maybe something.
French, like historically. Before
Yeah,
French, before English, it was French. Before French, I think it was Latin or Rome
yeah.
or Italian or something, like probably Latin. That makes a lot of sense. Before that, it was probably something else. It changes in cycles.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, depending on like who, like, the global power at the time right now, well, for a while it was France, and then England came in and they were like, no, we're doing it, we're taking over. And now United States are doing that, but it's two English countries in a row. So
yeah, like I think it's like it sucks that other languages are kind of not going away. Like there's a lot of languages, there's a lot of speaking a lot of languages, but that like a lot of people are focusing on English as the main one, and everything else is kind of like they, even like if I have kids ever, they're probably not going to speak Russian very well or at all. Like if I teach them Russian, they're like, I wouldn't consider them speaking Russian from what I taught them. Like that would be like a gibberish, because I don't know it that well. But it's just but at the same time, it's all coming, I think it's all coming together, and it's going to make for an easier future in terms of just communication. If everyone is on the same, if everyone speaks the same language, everyone's going to be able to just communicate better.
I think the sad thing is, though, that so much of culture is ingrained in language. Even just having certain words for certain things that don't exist, they don't transfer over or translate over, because it's not something that is common to an English or an Anglophone like conception or worldview or whatever. And so when we continue to kind of erase those things in preference of a very like single dominant culture, it's really sad and unfortunate to see. And I don't know. And also when you look at like here, we're Canada, we're technically a bilingual country, technically on paper, legally, but like who really cares to learn the other language? A lot of Anglophones in Canada do not care to learn French, but the Francophones do care to learn English, because that's just how it is. And so there's a certain level of like arrogance and pride that comes with it. And I think it kind of does close us off from the rest of the world when we think from this very Anglo-centric worldview. We're missing out on culture, we're missing out on connections, we're missing out on just experiences. And like learning a language is just cool in general and great for you job-wise, it's great for you travel-wise, it's great for you just for funsies.
I don't disagree at all with anything you're saying. And I think like the where the pride and like the elitism comes from is actually from the French side, from what I remember, like especially like in Quebec, where I remember being in elementary school going for our grade 8 graduation trip, and I remember asking someone something in English, or I remember someone asking someone something in French as like a grade 8 student, and they were like like in their like Quebec accent, they told me like, don't speak French, like it doesn't sound good on you. I'm like,
it's really, I think,
excuse me.
Excuse me. And I've had situations like that too in Quebec, and it's so crazy to me that like they want people to learn French, but then you have individuals, not all of Quebec, I can't broad stroke, but individuals you will speak to them in French and they'll say, excuse me, what? I don't understand you. I don't understand your accent. And you're just like, damn what I'm saying.
But then at the same, I remember I had a teacher from France back in elementary school who was like, she had a story where she had to, when she moved to here, she had to take her like redo her teaching license, and she was doing it in Quebec, and someone asked her for a pencil sharpener when she was in class, and they were like, est-ce que tu peux me donner votre sharpineur? And she's sitting there going, what is a sharpineur? She's like, I don't have one, I'm sorry. And the person goes, it's right there on your desk. What do you mean you don't have one? She goes, le taille crayon? What?
What's funny though, like when I was in Martinique and I asked people for their emails, I was like, pouvez-vous me donner votre courriel? And they're like, what? And I'm like, votre courriel? And they're like, what? Pardon, je ne comprends pas. C'est quoi un courriel? And then someone else came in, they're like, mon email?
Like, but that's like, it's changing in like, even in France, I guarantee you they're saying email now, not courriel. And
Yeah,
like
there's
there's a lot of
so
things.
much, and it's so interesting because we took a lot of things historically, and now like a lot of language, like deja vu, promenade, like things that not a lot of like that are just embedded in English language.
Hmm.
Um, and now it's happening in reverse where they're taking a lot of words, and I just sorry, I'm a nerd. It's just very interesting to me.
Oh, it is interesting. It is, and it's like it's hilarious because of that history where like a lot like you'll say a word in English and you'd be like, wow, that really sounds French. And because it is.
It
It's
is.
just we just took off the accent aigu at the end and that was it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like if you want to make a
Oh.
French word, just add an accent aigu at the end of it.
Sometimes I tell my students, I'm like, listen, sometimes just say it with a French accent.
Yeah,
You might be right.
yeah, honestly.
And worst thing comes to worst, I correct you. Like, just try, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, no. And it's kind of sad that a lot of the times they are right. And they don't even, like, a lot of the times kids don't even know that the history comes from other languages. Like, a lot of the words
Mm-hmm.
that we use are from uh, Latin or French or Spanish. Like, all these much older languages. Like, English is
Mm-hmm.
not original at all. But then neither
No,
of
not
all
at
of these
all. There's a
other
lot of like
languages.
Slavic in it. Like, there's
Mhm.
so much like
Yeah.
going on.
And now it's all collapsing in on itself, and English has become, yeah, I don't know, it's weird. Well,
Yeah.
so in Martinique, were you like Christine? Were you a teaching assistant or were you an actual teacher?
Yeah, the same program. You're always a teaching assistant.
Oh, you can't get a
So I was an assistant in
you can't get a teaching job or through that
no,
program. No. Okay.
no. That's the unfortunate thing. I definitely would have considered doing it a second year
Hmm.
um, at another location if I had the opportunity to be like a main teacher, just because we had finished school, we had our
Hmm.
teaching degree, like we could, and if we had the opportunity to get more pay because the pay was not sustainable at all.
That's exactly what Christine said. I'm sure you talked to her about this, where it's like, I'm sure it's like the equivalent of being in uh like where she was. It's your pay like the equivalent of that wherever it is on
Mm-hmm.
like the essentially the cost of living.
Yeah. The cost of living in Martinique is actually higher
Mm.
because it's an island and because it's technically legally France, everything still has to go through France first and then it's flown over. So
That sounds
like
excellent.
the cost of living for just basic things is higher for a lot of food products. Anything that's like local is
Probably
fine,
dirt cheap.
but
Yeah, just like here in Canada,
oh
anything that's
yeah.
local is dirt cheap.
Oh yeah, like there was a market up the street on the beach that ran and like I would go there to get all of my produce and everything because it was
Hmm.
so much cheaper. Um also just housing in general was very, very expensive. We actually
Really?
because of our yeah, because of our location, anyone living in Paris and anyone living in Martinique and Guadeloupe, and I think one other location had more pay than everyone else because the cost of living was significantly higher.
Hmm.
Um, but we were still warned, like, just
Like
so you
be
know, be
prepared. Like
prepared.
you need savings prior
Oh,
to
yeah.
getting this job.
Yeah, I definitely tapped into some of my savings to
Hmm.
get over there and get started, um, which is a privilege and a blessing that I really appreciated.
Hmm.
Um, but that's also another reason why I couldn't do it a second year.
Well, yeah.
It just wasn't financially worth it.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and uh, oh, I had a question in my head, but it just popped out of my head. It was like how was it finding living there? Like in terms like were there a lot of options that you had, or was it like I'm living in an Airbnb for a long time before I could find like a sustainable place?
I I think it depends on where you're living on the island because I
Hmm.
was living in the southern part. Um, it was a beautiful city, but it was like it was very touristy. So there
Hmm.
was a lot of people coming in and out for Airbnb. So that was like very expensive. It drove up the cost of living already being
Yeah.
there. And finding a place to stay long term was a little bit difficult, but thankfully people were really kind, and they helped me get in touch with other people who lived around there. So I ended up renting like kind of like a bachelorette type pad thing. It was one room. There was
Did
an
someone give
outdoor
you a
kitchen.
rose before the bachelorette room?
You are the what is it? I don't know. I don't watch that
I don't
show. I'm
know.
not even gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Neither do I. That's all I
Okay,
know.
great.
Yeah.
Um, so I had one room and it was attached to my landlord's house. And she said I can come out and use the lawn and whatever, and I can use her washing machine, which is great. And she had like a mango tree, so like when I wanted mangoes, I would just pick one. It was
Dang.
pretty nice. Um, but my space was kind of comical in a way. So I had one room, and it was nice. Like there was a nice sized bed. There was enough space for me. My kitchen was outside, so I had to.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to do my cooking outside, and there was like a shelter over top of me. But if it was
Okay,
raining
good,
and
good.
windy,
Yeah, yeah.
like the rain would come onto me and like splash me, if it was windy and like I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would try to make sure that my cooking was done before it got too late, because then the mosquitoes would just attack me and I wasn't for it.
Yeah.
And then my bathroom, I should have taken a picture of it. It was great. So you walk into my bathroom and there's the shower is the first thing there. And the bathroom is just like a long kind of hallway, right? There's the shower, there's the sink, and then there's the toilet. But there's nothing to distinguish
Oh, that
anything
was
from one
exactly
another.
like China. Yeah. We had like a
Okay.
square, and then like it's the
Yeah.
shower, the toilet, and the sink like all here. So if
Right
someone
there.
showers, it sucks to go to the bathroom right after because
Oh
everything is
yeah.
soaking wet.
So I tried to make sure like I'm gonna use the washer before I shower, and
Yeah.
like I had to buy a curtain because if I didn't, like the water was gonna splash out onto the floor into my bedroom area. And then there was also a window there so the mosquitoes would come in. So at night I would make sure it's closed so that they wouldn't like come and attack me. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but like I and because I was young and alone, the woman who rented to me, she's like, you know what? I'm gonna treat you like my dog. She was so sweet. She was like, I called like all the
That is
people who
very
took
sweet.
care of me, like they were like my aunties. She was like, I just want to make sure that you're okay. All like, how much are you getting paid? And okay, we'll make it this much. And this is okay. Are you okay with it? Like she gave me food.
That is awesome.
Um,
Wow.
I was really, really, really lucky and fortunate,
Mhm.
and she treated me so well. Um, and so like it was just a room before, like attached to her house with a bathroom, and she's like, I'll get a kitchen built for you. It's okay. And like put in an outdoor kitchen for me. It wasn't like a
Wow.
big thing. It was like there was a stove top, on top of a mini fridge, and the stove top had two burners, and then there was a shelf where I could put my dishes and stuff, and there
That's
was a
really
cabinet
sweet
there.
of her. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
like
incredible of
she
her.
did not have to do any of that. And I think that's another thing that was really nice about being in Martinique. Like everyone was so friendly. Like everyone was so kind and loving, and like people were like, "Oh, the Canadian." Like they were trying to reach out and like take care of me. Like I was speaking to one woman and she's like, "Yeah, when I lived in like in Paris for a couple years for university, like it was different. I used to go around and just say like hello and goodbye to people because that's just what I thought you do. Because like when you're walking in Martinique, you see someone, you say bonjour or you say bonsoir. Like you need to. That's just the respectful thing to do.
Yeah.
That's polite. Like you see someone, bonjour, bonsoir. If you know them, you give them the bees, like the two kisses on each cheek thing. Um, and she was like, and I went to Paris and I would always go up to people and just say hello, and they would look at me like, what are you doing? Who
Yeah.
are you?
But
Um,
that's like small, like a smaller, tight knit community versus
yeah.
Paris. It's like, however, like what I forget what their population size is, but it's like probably close to the entire population size of Canada, if I'm not.
Probably. Like it's insane.
Mhm.
Oh, never mind. Um, sorry, I thought the cat wanted to get out, but he just moved to the floor.
Mhm.
And so that's another nice thing about being in Martinique. Oh, what was this question? Like living. We were talking about living.
Yeah,
People
no,
were
no, no,
lovely
but
and took
you,
care
yeah,
of me. Um,
you definitely answered it.
okay, just checking. I feel like we went the roundabout way, but we made it.
Mhm.
Um, we took the scenic route.
Mhm.
Um, so the living experience it was smaller and it was expensive. But I fortunately had people who were kind enough to extend their generosity and just make sure that I was okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then how did you find like the work that you did there? So because you were teaching assistant, were you teaching English, I would assume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were we were English language teaching assistants. There were also Spanish language teaching assistants there, and I think Portuguese as well. So there's English, Spanish, and Portuguese assistants
Hmm.
all there, and we all got put into different locations. And so I worked in two different schools, and they were both elementary schools. And I would just like I had my schedule organized, and I would show up, and I would either do what the teacher wanted me to for the older grades, and in the younger
Hmm.
grades, the teachers were just like, "This is what we were doing. Do whatever you want with them." So like we played a lot of games and we read stories and we sang songs, um, which was super fun, and it was quite frankly exceptionally easy. Um, for some, like we went to not Oise, but like we went to Oise, but like we went to teachers college.
Yeah.
We know how to plan and organize and prepare a lesson in a unit, and they were just kind of like, we just read a story, do what you want with them. And I was like, wicked. So
Yeah.
like yeah,
That's how I
it was
felt
like really
honestly
fun.
in China too. It was I don't think I will ever have easier work in terms of like because they just gave us all the plans. They're like, here's the plans, here's the units, here's the materials. Someone will put them out for you every day, basically. But and obviously, like
Jeez.
when we got there and we looked at the plans and the units, they weren't up to the standard that we would have liked. So we did do a lot of replanning and stuff like that. But it was
Mm-hmm.
like I had like 3 hours for lunch every day. So I'm like, do I even like what do I even do? Like, it takes me half
I
an
had
hour to
2 hour
eat. Yeah.
lunches.
So like it was just so long, and I know I missed it. Too. So like
We
if you technically if
had
you remove the lunch, it would have been done in like
uh,
sorry, you're slowing down on me. Your video feed slowing
take
down.
naps.
Oh, the kids would take naps. Mm, you're
No,
back.
the teachers. The
Oh, the
teachers would
teachers
take
would take
naps.
that.
Okay, great.
We
Yeah, so
never
they
took
would
naps.
like as soon as the lunch bell rang, they were like gone. They would go out, they would go home,
Oh
make a
no.
hot meal. They would maybe off at school, family thing. And I kind of like that family centered aspect of it. I wish that Canada was a little bit more like that, like to have decent length lunches so that not just so that like we can breathe as teachers, but like to spend time with our families, to have time to
Mhm.
enjoy ourselves and do whatever.
Yeah, I think the only problem I could see with that is like not a lot of people like I live half hour away from my school, so it's really hard to go from like to my
Yeah.
school back home. If I got like there's a school right beside me, like literally a stone throw away from me, and if I got a job at that school, yeah, I'd probably be home every day for lunch.
Mm-hmm. Question:
Hmm.
what would you think though about working in the community that you live within as a teacher specifically?
So my only thing is I would love to work in the community that I live in, but I would like
Mm-hmm.
to work far enough away to where the I wouldn't necessarily run into the parents every day. So I want to be
Yeah.
far enough because I and it's not like I mind talking to parents or I mind sitting down with anyone or anything like that, but it's like you do want
There
to
should
have
be a
that like yeah,
separation.
you do want to have that separation because you don't want to get like you don't want to be always involved with parent communication like 100% of the
Yeah.
time and like there has to be some sort of distance.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I like the idea of being very involved in the community, but also I, I'm a human being, and I would like the opportunity to just kind of relax a little bit. And
Yeah.
as a teacher, you're always on are a role model for your students. You
Oh no, you're frozen.
towards you and expect you to be respectable. No,
You're good. You're
I
good now.
spoke
You
so
just
long.
unfroze.
Okay.
But we heard you. So yeah, you're always on,
Okay,
and
great.
you always have to be like 100% teacher mode, especially like you don't know. And it's not like we're going outside and like lighting cars on fire or something, but it's like you just want to like it would be a little bit awkward if you lived right behind another parent's house and like they see you sitting outside on your patio drinking a beer or a glass of wine.
Totally.
You're like, I don't really
Yeah.
want them
Like
seeing that
even
necessarily.
especially as a young, yeah, especially as like a young woman, like in the summer, I like to wear crop tops, but I wouldn't want any of my students to see me in a crop top
Yeah. Same
because
here. I love to wear my
it's
crop
just a
tops, but
strange
yeah,
thing.
I don't
Like
want any of my
you
students to
look
see
so
me.
nice in your crop tops.
Hmm.
You need to
They're
take a
pink and
picture and
flowery.
post it to the
Hmm.
audience,
Those
please.
spaghetti straps.
Yeah, and they're like tight form-fitting ones. Like they're
Yes,
your workout
exactly.
crop tops,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
They hold your pecs in place.
Yeah, and my yes, and my leg warmers, my crop top and my leg warmers.
With the booty shorts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. With the Daisy
Hmm.
Dukes.
I want to start a petition to demand a
That should be
photo in this
all
outfit.
teacher uniforms. That's it. Daisy Dukes, leg warmers, and
No,
crop
no,
tops. You heard it here first. Jessica
no.
endorses this 100%.
Please no. I do not endorse this. You're trying to get me in trouble. um no, just you, Eric. That
Just me.
is what I want you
I don't want to
have
traumatize any
for
students.
your audience, for educational
I
purposes.
don't want to traumatize my audience either. Pretty sure YouTube would put 3 strikes on my channel right away if they saw that kind of content. Oh no, you frozen again. Ah, there we go. You're back.
What is happening? Okay.
Oh, just poor internet connection. Yeah, and
I
so
know.
how would
It's
you?
my end,
Oh,
100%, and I
oh.
apologize for that.
No, I could see on my end, like it's also kind of going back and forth between full bars and 3 bars only. I was gonna ask. So, how do you find like the difference in education systems between Martinique and going back here to Ontario?
Oh my goodness. The organization of time is completely different. Like because of the breaks, like even things here. Not that I dislike assemblies and things, but sometimes during certain times of the year, there's so many things going on. You can't get through any curriculum.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of that. So time seems to be very, very well utilized. Like you come in, you do your work. They don't have announcements in the morning. Like that blew my mind. You just come in and start the day. I was like, wait, what? What? Excuse me? No national anthem, no like,
You know what? I
Um,
didn't notice that, but I think I don't remember there being a national anthem sung in the morning in the UK. I could be wrong, but I don't remember that.
it's just those little things they like add so much time to your day.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
also
not that I
like not
dislike
having to
them.
organize your kids and like, hey, come on, stand up for the national anthem, put down your pencil, like to do all these things like early in the morning. It's just like, yeah, just go do your work,
Yeah, in
whatever.
Catholic schools, okay, guys, now we're praying. Please pay attention. All right.
Yes. Hmm.
Um, all very important things. I'm not going to deny that.
Did I ever tell you the story
But it's just
about? Oh,
interesting.
did I ever tell you the story about back in high school? We had a wrestling tournament, and it was at a Catholic school. It was at Saint Joan of Arc. It was a high school, and one of my friends who used to train with me at the MMA club that I used to go to and he was at a different school. He was at the same tournament as me, and he hurt his back. And we took him to the office, and we're like, "Hey, can he have some Tylenol? He hurt his back, whatever." And they're like, "No, he can't have any Tylenol because we don't have his medical records. We don't know if he's allergic." And like I understood that. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And he goes, "But wait, here's what we can do." And they prayed on his back for him. And that was
I keep on losing you. This is awful.
Oh, sorry. So basically, the moral of the story is they didn't give him any Tylenol, but they prayed on his back for him. because he hurt his back. I was like, we're like, he was
I'm
he
sorry,
looked
that's
kind
not
of
supposed
like,
to be funny.
yeah, no, it was hilarious because he was
100%
like
believe in
shocked.
the power of prayer, but I also believe in the power of medicine, and I think that the two need to be working in tandem.
Yeah.
Um,
He was very shocked.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think, okay.
He was
I
also
mean, sure.
like he was not Catholic. He was Jewish, and he was like it was and he was like I don't remember them asking either, like, would you like us to pray on your back? No, they just prayed on his back. And then he walked out of there. He's like I think I was just baptized. He's like, I'm not entirely sure what just happened.
Never in my day seen anything like that though. Like that's just
It was very
so
funny.
shocking
Yeah,
to me.
he took it fine. Like he
Oh,
laughed it off. It was perfectly fine. But it was just hilarious to see that. Like, oh, my back really hurts. Oh, we'll pray on that for you. And I remember him being like pretty like atheistic. So like in my mind, like the power of prayer works when you also believe in it. And he, as I remember, he did not believe in it, so it would not have worked.
fair.
Yeah.
That's just
Poor planning.
It's like when there's a hurricane and like it's like when a hurricane passes through a place and everyone's like going out asking for donations and the rich people are like, we sending our prayers and love, and we're like, okay, you can do that, but also send your money because it's going to do a little bit more. We want your prayers, thank you, but money helps too.
Yeah. You can pray as you're signing the check.
Gosh. Yeah. What else? The differences. Organization of time was just a big thing for me.
It's hilarious that you say that about Martinique. It has way less assemblies and stuff. The UK had like I had 3 assemblies a week minimum.
No.
Yeah. So like out of class,
how
like
do you
every
do
other
anything?
Yeah, that was the big, and they were long assemblies. They're like half an hour long sometimes.
No.
Yeah, we got a lot less work done than we would have normally. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No. I don't know. I'm not gonna no. Yeah. There's like just different emphasis on different cultural things. Like language was like very much broken up. Like there was orthographe, there was lecture, there was like, it was just like very, whereas we have like language as a whole, and yes, we do divide it up into the 4 strands for reports, but it was like
this is your writing
completely
class.
Different subject.
This is your reading class. This is your,
the French language was so important. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Those were the main things that stuck out to me.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like that's like it. I remember that system being a lot more prevalent when we were in elementary school. I don't know about yours, but like it was a lot more divided in the strands. Like the strands were much more obviously divided. It's funny to see like how like one country does it to the next, and even like how they change just curriculums from one to the next in Ontario. Like it changes up the entire style of teaching. Like I remember specifically being taught grammar, and specifically being taught how to write, and then specifically being taught how to read. But nowadays it's like it's all melded together into one, and you're teaching it as one. I don't know which strategy is better. I personally think that probably the melding into one is better because it seems like it's more in line with what you do in real life. But at the same time, it is important to like focus on one thing at a time as well.
Yeah, there's obviously benefits and setbacks to both, and like clearly as we continue to develop, like understand child psychology, and we continue to understand like how students learn, and change like pedagogy around all of that, like things are gonna take over in preference for other things. But I don't know if that necessarily means it's 100% better, or if it's just better for the time that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot to ask you one question. In Martinique, did they use euros?
Yeah,
Or yeah?
they used euros.
Mm-hmm. So
Hmm.
that's probably also why the cost of living is driven up, because they're not using their like euros are expensive, and especially for countries that aren't like I know someone was telling me like Poland is really reluctant to change to the euro because it would drive up cost of living, because the euro is so expensive compared to the
Ooh,
Polish zloty, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. That's what it is. So like I would say probably that's too
Hmm.
why the cost of living is more expensive. And if anyone's listening
Yeah.
to this, the conversion rate from like Canadian dollars to a euro is like, I think it's $1.50 Canadian, close to, or like $1.30 to €1, which is like,
Yeah.
even for us, like that's expensive. If like
Yeah. So
I'm
like,
spending 100 getting only 70 back or whatever it is, that's a big chunk of change missing.
yeah. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
know. No, I think that definitely does make sense now that you say it, like talking about the cost of living and the effect of the euro on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Do you know if Martinique is part of the European Union technically? Because I mean, if they are
Yeah.
a part of France, they're a part of
Yeah.
the European Union. That'd be pretty
Yep.
interesting to see.
100%. So like people who are born there, like they are French citizens. They have a French passport. They if you take a flight from Martinique to France, it's technically a domestic flight.
It's, but that's got to be like, that is
So
a long flight,
during
no?
COVID, back and forth. Yeah, yeah.
That's hilarious that that's
Um,
a domestic flight. How long would that flight? Now I'm curious. How long is
yeah,
that flight?
I know.
I'm gonna Google it. From Martinique, flight Martinique to
From
Paris.
Montreal. So considering how long does it take from us to
It
get
takes
to
one. It says
here?
one plus
Yeah.
flights, so it's about 8 hours and 20 minutes. It says.
Jeez. Ugh. Jeez Louise.
So, and that's a domestic flight. That's hilarious. That's what they call a domestic flight.
I mean, legally, it's a domestic flight
Mm-hmm. And I
on
wonder,
paper.
like, because I know Agatha's going through her European Union citizenship, like she's getting that. So if she can, like,
Hmm.
technically, if it's part of the European Union, she could find a job there and move there pretty easily.
Yeah.
I know like her dream is to live in a warm place. She doesn't need air conditioning.
You gonna follow her?
As long as there's air conditioning.
As long as there's air conditioning. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a pretty fair compromise.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
I just want a
good
place to stay when I come
anywhere.
to visit.
Yeah. We'll build you we'll build you a bed outside. And a kitchen and a bathroom.
That's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty solid. Kitchen,
We'll leave a
bathroom,
mosquito net up
AC.
too.
All right. Cool. Yeah, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Exactly.
a bed. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
you'll just sleep under the mosquito
We'll build
net
it.
on the
Yeah, yeah.
floor.
We'll build it. We got this. I'm sure there's like an equivalent to IKEA in Martinique.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just like
Probably.
find a tree, chop it down, make a bed.
Yeah.
Easy peasy lemon
Yeah.
squeezy.
Do it. Be a man of the land.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
No tools, no nothing. I'm just gonna rip it straight out of the ground. Just...
Go beast mode on it. I
Mm-hmm.
would pay good money to see that. Not even gonna lie.
That would just be me for the rest of my life, standing at a tree, yanking at it. And then just like less and less
I almost
people
got it.
leave it. Yeah, less and less people each day coming to see until there's like just one person. And they just have money on like when I'll clunk out. Yeah. All right. Well, I
man.
think we've covered just about everything. Do you have
Yeah.
anything else to
Ooh.
tell our future potential audience? Because Got a small audience right now.
And current, you have some people
We
watching,
do.
okay?
I'm gonna post it in our. I'll post it in
I
our
would
CTAP
say
group.
that, okay, I never spoke about the setbacks. I loved being in Martinique.
Ah, okay.
I loved being in Martinique, but the issue was the location that I was, because it was a tourist place. There was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
older people and not people around our age, our
Mm,
demographic. So I did have to deal with issues of like isolation. I do have, there were families that were very kind to me, and I do have one friend that I still talk to. We even
mm-hmm.
spoke today, who is around our age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, so I think the thing about being abroad that I learned the most was you just have to be very comfortable with um, being with yourself and getting to know yourself, um, especially if you don't understand the language. Like I understood it.
Mm-hmm.
I chose to work in a French speaking country specifically because I knew I would be comfortable and confident and capable there. Um, but if you don't know the language and you don't know people, there is going to be certain times when you feel very isolated, and there is going to be that desire to go back home. So being very comfortable, learning about yourself, developing skills, enjoying the solo time,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoying the new place and environment that you're in, and focusing on that instead of focusing on the lack of other things and the things that you're missing. Um, Definitely do it. If you're thinking about it, don't rush into it. Research, take your time, learn a little bit of the language if you
Mm-hmm.
can. Um, but do it, because if anything has shown us, if COVID has shown us anything, is that we should be taking these opportunities when we can, um, because we don't know the next time that the world is going to shut down.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
and I
and
completely agree with you on your point there about the self isolation thing. Like that's how I can't speak to Agatha, but that's how I felt when we were in China, because it wasn't necessarily that there were people our age technically, and by our age, like a few years older than us, doesn't really matter. But like the idea of the culture in China, at least in the area that we were in, was, you have kids young, and then because they have kids young, even if they're only 2-3 years older than us, they already have a family, they have kids who are 5-6 years old, so they don't have time to like go out after school and party, or go have a drink or go do karaoke or anything. So it's just a lot of the time it was just me and Agatha. So
mm-hmm,
we definitely felt that we didn't have too many, we didn't have too many expats either, like coming in.
yeah,
And because we picked the way we did it, we didn't do it through an agency. We found a
mm-hmm,
job posting online, and
yeah,
we got hired through the school, not through an
mm-hmm,
agency, because
mm-hmm,
we wanted to make more money. That was that was really the thing, because agencies do take a cut off the top of your pay. I don't know how it
oh, for
works.
sure,
Yeah, like for you, the agency paid you directly, but
mm-hmm,
for in like let's say for the UK, the way it worked for us was there's a teacher's salary, and
mm-hmm,
then uh, the way they finagled it in the with the UK agency, and it's not like they deserve something, obviously, like they got you the job, but they, like, I forget, like it was roughly about, there was a 10,000 pound, because it
totally,
was UK pound discrepancy between what we had and what we should have gotten at the end of the year, essentially.
mm, yeah, I don't know. I guess that, like, they do have to get their pay somehow.
Mm-hmm.
um but I do see like why the taking the other route has its benefits in like finances, but also the setbacks of not being around other people. um and like for me, because I went to an island, there were less people, there were less
Mm-hmm.
assistants that were taken there, and then we got spread so far apart. I was the only one
uh,
in my city.
okay.
um and so there were no other, like, and transit there was very, very sparse. To get around confidently and comfortably, it was really the best bet to walk, hitchhike, or have your own vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Which I need to talk to you specifically one-on-one without an audience about some of those stories. Um, but because of the lack of public transit's like infrastructure, that added on to the isolation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. For us, it was just not being able to understand the language. So, so even like public transit, even to get on it was difficult
it's a
because
lot.
like we didn't know how much we had to pay. We
Yeah.
didn't know where it came, how it came, the times. We didn't know where it goes because everything is
Mm-hmm.
like, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
written in, there's like the characters for Mandarin, or and then
Yeah.
there's, I think it's called pinyin or pinyin, where it's like it's written English phonetically, so it's how it sounds. It's still Mandarin when you pronounce it, but it's written in English letters. So you could like that's the
Mm-hmm.
only reason we managed to get around, because if we had to read actual characters, we would have been screwed. Because there was no way we were gonna distinguish between any of those characters, because they do get complicated, especially names, like
Yeah.
not words. It's really complicated.
Well, I only have my one single Chinese friend because everyone else seems to be. I know it's. I'm just. No, I'm not gonna say that. But he was even saying like, he speaks at home, but he doesn't. He's still learning how to read. Living in
Mm-hmm.
Canada, and he's like, it's really difficult. It's difficult going from the English alphabet with your 26 letters to like the Chinese like writing
Yeah, probably
system,
like
which is
hundreds or
so
thousands of
intense.
characters, and every line means something different. Yeah, it's completely different
Mm-hmm.
than the English system.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was a
But I
pleasure
think that's
talking
all I
with
have
you.
to say.
Yeah, it was a pleasure talking.
Thank
And
you for inviting me. I just like
outside of
talking to
this,
you.
yeah, outside of this, we all need to get together again when this is all over. Sadly, when this is all over, and we all need to
Oh
have
my
like
goodness.
a party at
Yeah.
Monica's place.
When this is all over.
I know Monica doesn't know about this, but we're having a party at Monica's place. We'll tell her eventually. We'll tell her when
I'm
we
sure
come
she's
over.
gonna be down.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. We'll just show up all together one day and just
Like,
assume
woo, party.
we have drinks and
Mhm,
food. Yeah, no, it would be nice to see you guys in person. Give you guys a hug. I miss you
mhm.
guys.
I miss you too. I miss all of you. I miss. Oh, we're like we'll do like a whole thing where it's you, me, Christine, and we'll talk about like U of T, OIZ. We'll do that podcast another time. We'll talk smack about each other, I'm sure.
Ooh. I don't want to get myself in trouble,
Yeah.
but
You're already finished U of T and OIZ. You can talk smack about that all you want. And then Christine, it's
yeah.
fine. She's it's through her laptop. She can't get to you.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. I'm safe for now. She knows where I live, but I'm safe for now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. This was
Yeah,
really,
thank you for
really fun.
coming
It was
on.
nice to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. And
Hopefully we didn't go off on too many tangents. Like I don't
no, it's fine. Don't worry.
know
That's
if
what
any like when you're
I feel like.
editing
That's
this
what you
later, it's
expect.
probably gonna be a headache. I'm so sorry.
No, this is like I'm uploading
Okay.
just this. This is like this is it. This is what's going up.
Oh gosh.
There's no editing.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes. Let's
Yeah,
do
basically.
it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, have
Thanks
a great
for having
night.
me on again.
Yeah,
I
thank you for
will. I'm
coming
so
on.
excited to see how this turns out. And
Me too.
yeah. Do you have like a send off? Do you do just like a piece or?
No, I tell you have a great night, and then I have like a post roll. I edit in like a little thing I put on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen the end edit
Like,
that you put in, but like you don't have like a.
No.
All right. Well, that's fine. It was lovely chatting. Bye, Eric.
Bye bye.